right here on Channel 8 at 10 p.m. Well, remember the UFO videos released by the Pentagon? It was late last year. Apparently, there are still more lurking in the military files.
In fact, a man who spent 10 years working on the government's secret study of UFOs says there may have been many dramatic encounters with unknown technology that is far more advanced than anything in the U.S. military.
Much of that secret UFO study was carried out right here in southern Nevada. The I-Team's George Knapp recently sat down with the former intelligence officer who saw more of those files than anyone.
It was in this position I learned that the phenomenon is indeed real.
Until he stepped out on stage last October alongside rock star Tom DeLonge and other former government insiders, most of the world had never heard of Luiz Elizondo, which is how he liked it. Elizondo's government career was spent in the shadows, mostly as a Pentagon intelligence officer.
I was at the top of my game in my career field, and I left it all to have this conversation with the American public.
The conversation is about UFOs. For almost 10 years, Elizondo was a central figure in a secret Pentagon program to study unknown aerial threats. These days, he's preparing to relocate to the sleepy beach town of Encinitas, which is where Tom DeLonge's To the Stars Academy is based. That organization made public a pair of UFO videos which Elizondo helped to declassify before he left Washington. The videos were recorded by military pilots during encounters with far superior technology. In December, the New York Times reported on Elizondo and the videos, which set off a flurry of mainstream news coverage. Critics questioned whether Elizondo had released the videos on his own, as if he hid them in his lunch pail.
The Department of Defense made the decision to release them. Through the Department of Defense DOPSR process, approved the release for exactly the reason why the request was made. So it was completely on the up and up.
One video recorded off San Diego in 2004 capped off a week of encounters between UFOs and the USS Nimitz battle group. Navy pilots got up close and personal with an object they described as a large tic-tac, but which was capable of seemingly impossible movements and acceleration. Critics have come up with many theories about why the video and the chief witness are not legitimate.
And yet when he tells you he's seen something go from a near hover or something that is over the water going at 450 knots and all of a sudden takes off the horizon in 2 seconds, you better believe what he's telling you he's seen. And by the way, that's backed up by 3 other individuals that were also on that same flight in 2 aircraft. And then later by the radar operators, and then later by 2 more F-18s afterwards. It frustrates me because people say, well, that's just IR glare. That's IR fuzz. You know, or that's an atmospheric condition.
A bug on the windshield.
Right. I said, look, atmospheric conditions you cannot lock a radar onto. So I'm sorry. It's not atmospheric.
An initial cursory report about the Tic-Tac encounter was tossed in a drawer at the Pentagon, but the case was revived after Nevada Senator Harry Reid and colleagues initiated a formal program to study UFO incidents involving the military. The civilian contractor was Bigelow Aerospace in North Las Vegas. Investigators interviewed 18 witnesses to the Tic-Tac case and declared it to be a legitimate unknown.
The Tic-Tac in that incident, that's not Russian, that's not Chinese, it's not ours, right? It's somebody else's. It's from somewhere else.
I think even more compelling. Look, if this was a Tic-Tac that we saw in 2004, that would have been extremely advanced technology and capabilities for 2004. I think everybody would agree. It's extreme. It is considered extreme exotic technology today, let alone in 2004. But these observations match with previous observations going well before that.
In other words, there have been other Nimitz-type incidents both before and since.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA.
This is the second video released by the Pentagon. It shows an object dubbed the gimbal. It is not related to the Tic-Tac case, Elizondo confirmed. Other independent sources told the I-Team this video was recorded off the coast of Florida in 2015. There are many other dramatic encounters not yet made public.
The Nimitz is simply an example of one case, one event in time of many that we looked at. When it continues to happen as a pattern, that is when we get to the point where we now become increasingly concerned. Because it's not an anomaly, now it's a trend. And if it's a trend, then we need to look at it.
George Knapp, 8 News Now.
It's rotated.
People familiar with the UFO study say about 24 UFO videos are being declassified for release to the public in the coming months. And Luiz Elizondo says the technology displayed by the UFOs is beyond anything we have, but that scientists think they now understand how it works. More on that part of the story in the days ahead. We have links to related stories and materials on our 8 News Now website.